y'all are the ones who put the hard work in, knocking on doors, going around talking to people, encouraging your friends to come out and be a participation in what we have today. Yes, it's true. I have been pro-life. I've been standing in front of the abortion clinic for 32 years. Me and 3 other women here in Charleston for the first time, and it's just grown astronomically. Alex is a testimony of one of those people who came out and joined the 40 Days for Life, and now he's also a state delegate for his district in James Island. That doesn't happen by going to the SCGOP website, and the only thing you can do is put your name and pick donate. That doesn't happen. The only way that happens is if you get out and talk to people. Cynthia's done a wonderful job, and I was appalled when they stole the election from her. And if they'll go that far and that low when it comes to the state this coming Saturday, chaos, corruption, and deception. And so we have to be on alert, we have to watch, we have to stand strong. We have 3 good candidates, myself, Jeff, and Zoe. All 3 of them are first American. They're all Make America Great, and they all need our support. When we get to the point where it's a runoff, we're hoping that Drew doesn't get into there. We're hoping that the 3 of us will take enough votes from him that he has no chance to even become on the second chance going around. We hope that this knocks him out of the race completely. That will only be able to tell. When y'all get there Saturday, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, tell them to vote for us. Tell them that we want to get rid of the establishment, because we do. The establishment is what's the problem. Drew McKissick has been in there for 30 years. Wow. 30 years he's been part of politics, and his dad was a politician as well. You know what the word politics means? Poly meaning multiple, and ticks are bloodsuckers. Multiple bloodsuckers. And the only thing they care about is what they can line in their pocket and what they can do for somebody else to get a free handout. That's all. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you want. Only thing that, if they did, would abortion still be legal in South Carolina? It would not. I believe that this country's under a curse. Standing in front of that abortion clinic for 32 years, I've seen close to 200,000 children murdered in West Ashland. That's a lot. And God says, you who are called by my name, if you'll turn from your wicked ways and repent, seek his face, that he'll hear from heaven and heal your land. Well, the healing of the land is the removal of the curse. And the people rising up, we have to ask God to forgive us for complacency, for not coming out and speaking when we should speak, for not standing up when we should stand up, for allowing people to take advantage of other people. It's not about me, it's about you. I want to hear, what is your biggest concern in Charleston?
Charleston County School District.
The school district. And what is yours?
Medical freedom is very up there.
Yeah.
State medical freedom.
That's right. And so those things take place at a higher level in our politics or in the government and at the state house. And they're not doing their job. What's the definition of insanity? So if you keep electing the same people over and over who are in politics, who have that backstage entrance, if you keep electing them over and over, who's insane? That's right. So if you want change, I don't have any politics backing. I'm grassroots. I came up 2 years ago in the reorg, and I'm here because God's called me to stand up not only for the children, but the voice of people in South Carolina. And I appreciate your time and your efforts.
Go away.
I'm going to let like 5 minutes and then do the same for you, Jeff. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time.
This is more about the state convention. I noticed how organized people were with, badges and signs and that sort of thing. Will someone be speaking on your nomination at the convention? Will somebody be introducing you and talking about your?
Alex doesn't know it, but I was going to ask him.
Okay. Is it unethical to say something so that every been there for X long, nothing's changing, the party hasn't been growing, or at least the GOP in South Carolina. Is it possible to just mention those types of things out loud with whoever introduces you at the,
No, so the only thing we're supposed to do is nominate. And there's not supposed to be a second motion on that or anything like that.
Oh, they're not allowing them to talk?
I don't know, Jeff, you said something on
No,
Wednesday.
we haven't seen the rules for the convention, but the ones for 2019 that we emailed out earlier, this morning from mySCGOP, these are the ones from the last time they had an actual election that wasn't virtual, like in 2021. But there was a 1-minute nomination speech. You could have 2 seconds for 30 seconds each. And you can say those types of things, whatever you want to say. But then we're supposed to
someone
be,
say it out loud?
Yeah, somebody should have it.
Yes.
Can we have name
No.
badges?
Yeah.
Okay. We have badges as far as like who we support, like who decided on.
I mean, I'm gonna be handing out the same little thing, the same little tag I handed out at the convention here in Wando. I'm gonna be handing out the same thing. We have 400 of them printed up.
I just remember that, it seems like one of the candidates had stickers. and
Right.
it was like, oh,
Yeah.
we should this guy.
I shouldn't have done
But
Smart.
I'll tell you, it's not about the money, it's about communication. It's about talking to your friends and your neighbors and telling them why you support this candidate, why they need to vote for him, whether it be Jeff or Zoe or myself. That's the most important thing. They can have a sticker on it, still write down somebody else's name. They can come to American First meetings all week long, all month long, and they still write down somebody else's name and vote for somebody that's part of the establishment. So it's just about communication and encouragement.
I just wanted to say on that note, maybe it's just because I work in marketing, but I do think it's really critical to do the stickers, to do the flyers on the seats and stuff, because people who you can't get to in person to talk to, they read those things, they see those things, they look around, they see how many stickers are on them. I have people in my area, in my precinct, who went and didn't know who they were going to vote for at the county convention, and I think they were swayed by the stickers. Because they
On COVID laws, the ordinances that they passed, not very good. They were all unconstitutional. There wasn't any of them that were patriots. And one of the ladies dropped off, and they had a runoff on Daniel Island that consisted of 5 people. 3 of them were establishment. One of them had just moved to South Carolina, and Boyd had been here all of his life and was an engineer. I walked around Daniel's Island and I asked them, "Who are you voting for this upcoming runoff?" They didn't even know there was an election. So I showed them the 5 people, and they go, "Oh, well, I would go with Boyd." So I made a flyer, $15 and $10 worth of gas. I made 150 or 200 flyers, and I flyered them all of Daniel Island with them, and I got a call from the other side telling me to stop sending out those flyers. And on the flyer, all it says was People's Choice, and it had a picture of Boyd and the other 4 candidates around him and telling them what the establishment was and what, I was born here, you raised your family here, you've lived here, you're invested in South Carolina. If you just moved in here from another state and you've only been here a couple of months, are you invested?
Yeah.
You're not. People don't know who you are, they don't know what you believe in, they don't know if you're trustworthy or not. So vote for people who are invested in the state, because that's important. It's real important to know that they care about, and they don't have other ties to other states. But Boyd won for $25. They got whipped. And they weren't expecting it. So yeah, you're right. It is important to have those things, but it's also important to follow God.
hey, Tim, I just wanted to encourage you to ask as many people as you know to just personally campaign for you that day at the meeting there in person.
Yes,
Because
sir.
it can mean so much, I think, when somebody just says, "Hey, Christy, who are you voting for? Why? Well, do you know about Tim Cox?" You know what I mean? And tell him, why you want to vote for him. And then it might not hurt to throw in a few
do you know what Drew's done? You know, type thing. Do you know what I mean? For real, because on that day, there are gonna be a lot of people
There are.
that don't know who they're voting for.
That is absolutely correct.
And just ask anyone you know, please campaign for me hardcore that day, like it's your only job, and ask your friends to do the same, and just see how many people will help you out.
Yes, sir. I sure plan on doing that. Like I said, I've got these little tags that I've got 400 of them, and I'm gonna be standing at the door handing them out and introducing myself. And on the backside, I've got scripture on the backside, and it says God, family, and country, and that's what I believe. God first, family second, and then country. Because if you get God first and your family right, then the country's gonna follow. And that's how I believe. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
So before we bring Jeff up, we have another distinguished guest tonight from Wando High School. Tell us what award you got tonight. Will you stand up and tell us? I think it's fabulous. Yes, yes.
How did you know I was there?
I know your dad and your mom. I know, I'm embarrassing you to death. I have two boys, but I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad that you're here with us tonight, and I just want to tell you, congratulations on your award.
Oh, thank you.
Please tell us.
I got the Computer Science Scholars Award.
That's awesome.
We need you to help with our tallying.
He knows how to add.
Well, some of them didn't, so.
You know.
Getting both in my class.
No, that's right. So next we have Jeff Davis for chair position, and he is a native of South Carolina also. Jeff is the Greenville County GOP, was chair, correct? And
The
now,
outcome.
okay, are you EC now?
On the state EC.
State, okay. He's a graduate of the Citadel and USC Law MBA programs. He is a tax attorney and CPA. And Jeff is a school choice advocate who is committed to exposing political and judicial corruption. Thanks for coming, Jeff.
I'm actually a Charleston native. I was born in St. Francis Xavier Hospital in 1967, last Friday, May 12th. High school, I remember Wando High School, by Steve Farm. And when we moved into Steve Farm, probably in 1976 or so, that was the boonies. I don't think they'd even put roads out here. So, I mean, it was people thought we were crazy when we moved out to Steve Farm. And now it's kind of like right there at the connector, so it's kind of everything. But again, my name is Jeff Davis. I am the current chairman, or the outgoing chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party. I'm the incoming state executive committeeman for our county. We started probably 2 years ago an organization called mySCGOP.com. We put an MY in front of SCGOP.com. And we ended up going out and doing some things, and it drove them nuts to have a program. And it's kind of a marketing tactic. I used to work for a company out of Silicon Valley called myCFO, Chief Financial Officer. And that was kind of a marketing thing they did in the old days. And we put it out there. We just used it to kind of create and teach people. We ended up turning it into a nonprofit where we teach people how to get involved in reorg. And this is really more of a national movement. I mean, we are kind of the hub of what we do in South Carolina. But we work with Dan Schultz, if you've heard of the precinct strategy out of Arizona. Dan is a lawyer, West Point grad. But he kind of started this, and he's been battling it for years. And there are tons of these positions within the Republican Party nobody really even knows about. I mean, when did you first find out about precinct reorganization? I didn't find out. I mean, I was a college Republican at the Citadel. I've always voted Republican. I just hit the button and just, I listened to what those people told me to do. And, I finally found out about it in 2017. That was the first reorg I went to. So I guess I've been from 2017, 19, 21. This will be my fourth reorg. And I'm like old hat. I'm like, why is this taking so long? It's taking so long because most people have not heard about it. And when the easiest way to market it is go out and you go door knock or whatnot, and you ask somebody if they've ever even heard of it. They haven't. So when they haven't, you tell them simply, it's because they don't want you to know about it. And they don't. They have a theory of keeping it small so they can control it all. You know, they sit there and they will tell us this is a waste of time. Oh, why do they even care about the party? Oh, there's nothing, all they do is just fundraising. Oh, we'll just ignore that. Well, they battle back pretty hard to keep it, don't they? So I'm like, there must be something there. Our theory, and what we've been kind of preaching, and I can certainly attest that it's accurate, is we can take back the Republican Party because it is a bully pulpit. People listen. People are drive-by voters like I used to be. They listen to what the party tells them. So they have been telling people the wrong stuff for a long time. And a lot of people that are involved in the party are political consultants. Drew McKissick. You know, somebody asked me the other day, it's like, well, Drew McKissick loses his job. What is he gonna do? Like a lawyer or something? I'm like, no, he's a political consultant. He's been doing it for 30 years, whatever. He's about my age, so I remember some of those kids that you know, that were doing that college Republican thing and all that jazz. He just stayed in it. He probably worked with Lee Atwater, and I hear Lee Atwater's a good thing, but, you know, Lee Atwater played a very aggressive, you know, mean politics. You know, and I personally believe I am frustrated to no end based on what we discovered, what I discovered with school choice, Olga and I did, getting involved in it here in the state of South Carolina. You think, hey, you know, get involved in school choice, Republicans care about school choice. Guess what? As soon as we got into it, we figured out who was opposed to it, who our enemy was. It wasn't the school districts and the public schools. It was the Republicans. They wanted their piece of the pie. You know, they're all complaining about the Democrats want money out of the public schools. Guess what? They want their cut of the pie for the private school money. You know, and I'm like, this is insanity. And we started getting battling, and we started nice. You know, I did the right, you know, what most of us, you know, normally do. You know, nice. I mean, we literally sponsored an event with the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce. You know, and I'm like, I didn't realize it was called the Chamber of Compromise. How stupid was I? So a lot of the things that we've learned, we've kind of ratcheted it up, and we practice. You know, I get a little bit of grief about it, more confrontational politics. You know, but guess what? They've been practicing confrontational politics on us. And a lot of things they accuse us of is projection. And it is amazing, some of the things you see out there. And I actually kind of enjoy it. In the old days, in the beginning, I was like so frustrated. I was like, if they just only understood, you know, what this would do for kids, or they understood this, they do understand. And they don't care. They don't care, and they will use that against you. You know, we spoke in Dorchester last week, and Drew McKissick spoke before us, which was great, because he gave us all the ammunition to go there and expose what he was doing. But you know, one gentleman over there who was a county council member, you know, he kind of did it. So I came over and looked at our sheet and said in Greenville, we had finally taken every position. There was one county-wide officer, a probate judge, which is what I did for a living. I wasn't a probate judge, but I was a tax attorney, CPA, so I kind of did estate planning. And I'm like, why in the world does Greenville have a Democrat probate judge? She had been there for 25 some odd years. They had never, ever run a Republican against her. Never, ever, none of our predecessors, a bunch of rhinos and establishment people, never run. One of them is a probate attorney and never run anybody against the probate judge. I'm like, why would you not do it? Because it's the unit party. They're all happy. Greenville is a Republican plus 20 county. We're at least 60-40. Now, we were probably higher than 60% Republicans. You could almost win straight ticket. And we actually ran a candidate I wasn't real happy with it. It was popped on us last minute, literally in the last 15 minutes of the filing session. We had somebody else to run. But we didn't want to, you know, create two Republicans fighting for the position and then have to run against Republicans. But he only had to win an extra 8,000 votes over the straight ticket. You know, we're 525,000 people in Greenville, so it was a very small amount. I really was hoping he would win just on straight ticket. But, you know, they just hadn't run anybody. They could have run this chair and won it. They didn't do it. And it was funny, even in that race, a lot of the establishment Republicans that don't like us, guess what? One of them was a county council member, which we did take out, so he'd already lost his primary in the southern part of the county. Guess what? He did a video endorsement of this Democrat. I mean, it's hilarious. And I'm like, you know, of course he was a president of his precinct. He's gone. That was great. We'd already beat him in his race, you know, with an American first person. We kicked him out of the party. You know, and I'm not sure. I haven't seen look at the precinct. We got 151, so I don't know if he snuck back in. But the establishment club that Drew Kissick set up in Greenville, because you're seeing that, what they did is we took over Greenville 2 years ago, and there was, I don't know if you probably heard all the issues with the fraud, at least 24% of the fraud that kind of keep us out, and we exposed it, and, those actually made a lot of national news. But they set up a shadow group, the 4th District Club, which is like, we call it like the Rhino Tea Party group, their group over there. So the Rhinos are, that same individual who did this award, did this video endorsement of the Democrat program judge, he had just gotten an award from those guys, lifetime award, because he was being unelected, so they gave him an award. They're giving these people awards. And what was funny is even there's a hit piece that came out on me, there's a little blog group, called the Times Examiner. It was started by a gentleman by the name of Colonel Dill. His brother, Joe Dill, is our first vice chair. Great guy, he was a little county council too, but he sold that Times Examiner a couple of years ago to the gentleman that's totally on the establishment side and has taken that whole thing and changed it. A lot of people have asked me, it's like, well, what is this hit piece about you? And I'm like, that's the same organization that endorsed the Democrat probate judge right before the election. They create these surprises. It's like almost they went out and bought this thing so they can manipulate it. And I'll tell you another thing that just kind of occurs to me. A lot of things are not what they seem and or appear. So like Presley Stutz, and I don't know if you know, Presley passed away, murdered in the federal hospital. Yes, then Remdesivir and all that kind of stuff. It's incredible. He should be up here speaking instead of me. But what Presley and I, we talked to a political consultant one time, and he said when he does it, he's working a statewide race, he'll hire somebody in the upstate, somebody in the Midlands, and somebody in the low country, probably a friend, somebody, and they'll get on social media and start saying all kinds of things. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust me. Don't trust people you just met. We're talking about people just moving the state. You can't really trust anybody. And when people start doing things that literally make no sense, you got to start looking behind the curtain and try to figure it out. Why do certain things happen? People are promised things. I've been offered things and opportunities. I don't really care. So the only thing you can bribe me with is, and I tell them, is implementation of the South Carolina Republican platform, which is the way it ought to be. It shouldn't be about money and positions of power and all that, or endorsements. I haven't asked a politician for endorsement. They give us grief up in Greenville that none of the politicians will work with us. I'm like, well, I talk to them all the time about things that we're doing. We just don't invite them to their meetings. Why would you want a politician to come up here and tell you things that to make them look better? We want to expose. A lot of things that we try to do is teach, educate, teach people. I'm told educate is the wrong word. We actually teach. So there's some weird thing a friend of mine says you got to say teach. But we teach people what is going on. And one of the best things that we want to teach people is obviously the brass tacks of precinct reorganization, how to run meetings, how to do Robert's rules and all that kind of stuff. But we also want to teach people about the mental manipulation. Do not react to things that you just found out, 2 days before an election. My joke about it is like, if you're walking into a voting, polling location, and somebody whispers to your side, saying, well, that guy's actually a pedophile. Are you going to vote for that person? You're probably not. Are you going to go do the research and try to figure it out? If the person's a pedophile, you probably should have been exposed a long time ago. But that's what moves people. And I will tell you, I think a bunch of these political classes, that's all they care about is moving the needle right there on election day. And we are manipulated like you would not believe. We're manipulated by money and all that type of stuff. So what we're trying to do, and certainly we're going to do in Greenville, is we are going to speak truth to power. That's what Trey Gowdy taught us to do. So a lot of established people love Trey Gowdy. Like, if that's what you want to do, Trey told us, we're doing what Trey told us to do. But we're also going to focus on politicians and teaching people about what the politicians are doing. So like in my House district, my House members are just Rep. named Jason Elliott. We are going to strategize on his House district. He's probably got 12 or 13, 14 precincts. We're going to go do literature drops. So what Tim was talking about, you've got the 200, whatever, and hand it out and moved in an election. We're going to take it to a little higher level. We can buy for 4.5 cents. We can get palm card or door hangers, 11.5 by 7.5, for 4.5 cents. I can get 10,000 of them for $450. 10,000 of them, we are going to blanket this precinct, or I'm sorry, this house district. We're gonna do it for 13 months in a row. Now, we're not picking winners and losers. We're just gonna educate all these people in our house district about what Jason Elliott is actually doing. So one of those things will be, hey, guess what? He voted to keep boys and girls sports. Most of my neighbors do not know that. Most of my neighbors say, they go into the poll, they're like I used to be. Oh, I got 6 mailers in the mail saying how great this person is. Well, that's a name I recognize. I'll just go, press that name, because I voted all the time in all the primaries. So, we're going to do that. We're also going to incorporate with those literature drops, and I would highly encourage you guys to do it down here. If you got certain districts you want to target and kind of inform the constituents about what those legislators are doing, we're going to add a normal sheet of paper to it, into splits mainly. This is what your school board's doing, school board member doing. This is what your county council member's doing. This is what your house reps doing. This is what your state senator's doing. Let the people know. You do that over a 13-month period. It's not that hard. Look at your voting records. I mean, I don't know what the turnout was down here, but up in Greenville, we didn't have the big race that y'all had with the first congressional district. We had, it was like 12% turnout. We, in Yvonne Julian is our new chairwoman up in Greenville. Her whole thing is voter turnout. We wanted to go from 12% to 15 to 18 to 20, and if we fill that delta up with good conservatives, nobody can stop that. So that's what we want to do. We're going to do, we're focusing on getting rid of legislators, educating people what's going on, holding them accountable. And guess where the best place to do it would be from? Chairman of the SCGOP. And that's what I think we're doing. Tim is here fighting as an advocate for his cause. I'm here and got involved in this because of school choice. That's my cause. Everybody's got a cause. Whatever. Judicial reform is another one of mine. I'm kind of sick about what lawyers do in our state. When Alex Murdaugh was a classmate of mine in law school, that stuff is not just in Hampton. That stuff is in every city, every area of this state. It's all over. We're one of 2 states where the legislators pick the judges. That's got to stop. That type of corruption is what is destroying our state, because it's all this underhanded dealing and all that kind of stuff. We can do that, but if your issues, life or school choice or roads or whatever it might be, we are preaching and teaching a solution, not just here advocating for one thing, or not just here at trying to get one position. All these guys want to ladder climb up into something else. We want to get back to bully pulpit of the Republican Party. So all those drive-by voters, which I used to be, and most of us used to all be, we can start educating people about it. And it's going to take people. It's going to take numbers. And it's not going to take a lot of money. It does take a lot of money to buy flyers, but we got a ton of labor for free. And what happened at that meeting last week in Dorchester, Drew McKissick talks about voter apathy. Voter apathy. I don't see any apathy in this room. There's not an apathy problem. There's a problem where, nobody wants to support what those guys are doing. So they're telling us that we're running people off from the Republican Party. I'm like, yeah, I'm running off the ones in the middle and the rhinos. I want to run them off. And I want to give hope to all of you.
I want to open it up for questions. I mean, you could talk.
I'll talk for
with
us.
me. I know. So I would like, yes, so you have a question?
Yeah, so you've been involved for a long time. You've been to several state conventions. You've seen how Drew works at the convention. Can you enlighten all of us that are new to this, what to expect when we get to the convention in terms of, trying to insidiously convince us to do this and that and the other thing?
They will try to create confusion. That's why they won't tell you the agenda. We sent out the agenda this morning for the 2019, and we sent out the standing rules, as you did with your provision, 1-page standing rules. That's who knows what they're going to propose. They try to create confusion because they know the system better than we do. Now, we have a little bit of experience, and we kind of can think on our feet, and, so we're adjusting, and we got a lot of good people from around the state that are doing, but they will try to create confusion. They will try to run out the clock and have multiple votes and do whatever the heck they can do to frustrate people. The good thing is our people are usually pretty solid. You're there for a reason. It's not a vacation or a social event. a lot of the establishment people, and I know y'all had some people drop off. You know, I know that it's a real pain, and we should have better discipline than we do.
Yeah.
And we even have to, faltered on a couple things up in Greenville. We should really know better. But guess what? The establishment has the same problem, probably in spades, multiples of what we do. So, but they're going to try to create confusion, they're trying to frustrate you, that type of stuff. But it's really not that difficult if you kind of follow through and you kind of, we've trained a lot. A lot of people have not, in the old days, they got frustrated because the first time they ever been to a convention, they're like, I don't want to deal with these people again. We're not going away, are we? We're going to let them do whatever they do. We're going to sit there, we're going to be professional, but we're going to be persistent. And we're going to wait for them. We'll just wait them out. Because they are collapsing on us. But they'll try to create that confusion. Look for your leaders. Look for what your people They'll know each other from different counties, and we'll try to guide everybody through that process.
Maybe some talking beforehand.
Okay, you talk about, giving the record for those that are in office, but we have to have good people to run against them. So do you have a plan to pull out those people that are actually going to stand for the platform, that are going to get into office and vote the right way, not pass pro-life bills that they know the people that they appointed as judges are going to strike down? I mean, that's the kind of game they're playing. So how do we get, you can't just move these guys out so another rhino can come in and replace it, doesn't go to.
Right. No, we have to get regular people who don't care, who aren't ladder climbing, who aren't making more money in politics than we're out of politics. That's what we've got to get involved. And that means regular people. Joe White, who's a new House rep out of Newberry, he came up and we went to Newberry to give our training last year on reorg. And they kind of booed us out, or it was a real problem with the establishment there. So Joe's like, hey, you can give it at our place. He has a barn or whatever, a party barn. So we went and presented it there. And he got involved in all this stuff because we introduced him to it. He was elected, he was 76 years old as a new House rep out of the Newberry. When he was sworn in, he was 77. He was the second oldest, or the oldest freshman in the House. And get back to even before 1776 and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, anybody can get involved. You're not too old and you're not too young. But you have to, I mean, I'm telling you, some of these young homeschool kids would be the best people to be in there. Get comfortable, old, young, but people who don't care. We spoke up in it was for the Lexington group, and it was actually over at the Melting Pot in Richland County. That's owned by Jay Kilmartin. Jay Kilmartin is a new House rep. Jay doesn't care. He's like, you got somebody better, please. I don't care. Get somebody better, please. I don't want to be here and doing this. I'm a conservative. I'd rather be doing something else. Anything else. I'm a tax attorney. I'd rather be doing tax attorney. But I mean, somebody's got to do it. I think that's why they stick me out here, because I'm like the lightning rod, and people are, I should get tickets, dollar tickets for nothing a fortune. But I'm like, it's crazy. We gotta fight back. But no, we've met with and we sent people up to the Leadership Institute in DC. The head, the number 2 guy at the Leadership Institute in DC came and met with us at our headquarters in Greenville 6 months ago or so. We're sitting there in the meeting talking, and then like 30 minutes or so in the meeting, he stopped everything. And he looks at me, I'm sitting right there, and he goes, "You're not what they told me you were." And I'm like, I can only imagine what they told you I was. And he helped, he said, we'll help train people. So what we are doing, we're trying to establish a network, or statewide network, to be able to run 300 to 500 America First Patriots in every position across the state. And that means you guys are going to have to run for office. Somebody has got to do it. So we're trying to figure out a way to make the cost cheaper, and then we're trying to find out, but there's a science to it as well.
2 more questions, and then he will be here, and you guys can talk to him a little bit after. I have a little closing thing. So, Mel, did you have a question? I see Mamie does. Mamie?
Yes.
Mamie?
What part does the SCGOP Chairman play in changing our primaries from open to closed?
Well, what part the old chairman played was keeping them open. I don't know if you know the whole story about Chad Conley, who's Drew McKissick's mentor. Trad Conley there was a lawsuit that came out of Greenville, federal lawsuit to close the primaries. It's based on some constitutional arguments. It had been won up in Virginia, and they were doing the same thing down here. And what happened, there was the Green County Republican Party was involved in it, and the state SCGOP. They've gone through discovery. I know the guys that were doing it. They spent close to $1 million in legal fees and expenses to get this thing there. It was right on the cusp of going to trial or whatnot, having a ruling on it. And guess what? Chad Conley took the state party out of that lawsuit. So when he took it out of the lawsuit, the judge dismissed it for a lack of standing. It couldn't just be Greenville, it had to be something statewide. Guess what happens? Chad Conley resigns from his position as chairman of the SCGOP. He gets a job with the RNC on the national level. Who do you think helped him probably get that? Who's the #1 person who wants open primaries in the state of South Carolina? Lindsey Graham. That'd be a good answer. So I don't know, I don't have specific, but you know, you got to try. Yes, and so Chad ran the national faith-based operations for the RNC. Good idea. You know, I guess, you know, probably the wrong guy doing it. Guess who ran one of the regions? Drew McKissick. I mean, they're all tied in together. This is where they make their money forever. You know, go find another job. You know, there's the issue of getting legislation passed. And there's the issues that are, you know, maybe the party could do something to do, but I'm going to tell you, they have zero interest in doing it now. Drew will tell you one thing. You know, and we say it all the time, watch what they do, not what they say. He has zero interest in closing the primaries. The only thing he actually may have interest in is registration by party, so he knows which ones are Republicans, so he can take out all the Democrats and only solicit this list for donations. So I think that should be one of our 30 legislative initiatives or so, that we would set up committees, and I think we just go hammer the legislature, say we want it. This is the bill. You're going to pass it. If you don't pass it, we're going to primary every one of you until we get somebody else that sits in those seats. I don't care who sits in the seat. You know, I care about how they vote and what they're doing. But somebody has to practice them. Somebody has to push them. And somebody has to threaten. You know, and I don't know if Tim has taken that faculty class, but you know, one of the sayings that they have is, "You will not be politically respected until you're politically feared." They have to think you are going to affect their reelection. All they care about is getting reelected. And if they think you don't have any influence on getting them or stopping them from getting reelected, they don't care what you think. And we just have to start realizing that. This is the game.
All right, Ann, last question.
I haven't heard anybody talk about election. We already know that the election system is, will never have a free and fair election as long as we keep the machines. How would you approach that?
You know, we spent $50 million on those machines, and you know, I think we got to keep them. It's a good investment. I'm joking. You can take them and throw them out there in the
Right
park.
now, Lauren is in the safe elections with Laura Shar, so they had some good results because they're working with the SEC right now, so it'll be interesting to see everything that comes out of that with Palmetto Watch and stuff, so.
Well, and I will tell you, I think Palmetto Watch is scary. I've had people come and talk to me and be like, "Oh, what you guys doing over here? And what Palmetto Watch is over there?" And I don't really know all of their stuff, but I think they're scared of it because I think they're going to pull some information. But the state election commission in our state is much worse than I think any of us realize.
Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it. Tim and Jeff will be here, so if you have any other questions, I'm just gonna go over a couple of things really quick here. So, I think it's funny, like I said, and a lot of you heard some of the speeches, that every candidate got up there and talked about growing the party, and as all of you know, we knock on doors and people are like, "No, I never heard of yours." And so that was one of the platforms I ran on, was growing the party. And guess what? We did a fabulous job, but we've got to keep doing this, and we don't stop now. Keep talking to your neighbors, keep putting that bug in their ear, because we cannot wait all of a sudden until 2 months before our next, reorg, and then try and get them. So invite them to come to these meetings. Invite them over if you're doing a special thing for your precinct. Keep spreading the word. Truth and transparency. We ran on that motto, and I want you guys to keep pushing that out. We just went to our first meeting. I was there at the very end. I missed a lot of the fireworks, I hear. But you know what? There wasn't a lot of transparency going on. There was a lot of, gabbling people down and not being respectful. And we need to hold our ground on that. And we need to be prepared. So, vetting conservative candidates. That's one of the reasons I got involved, because I was thinking, what in the world are we doing with Lindsey Graham in his face? I was like, what is going on? So, knowledge is power. We've got to get into Robert's rules, keeping up to date with what legislation is going on locally. Somewhere, Joe Calley came and spoke at one of my meetings a while back, and he's pretty amazing. He's the EC in Dorchester, and this is an example of a precinct that does a newsletter. It's fabulous. I'm not doing it. I don't have the time. I barely have time for what I'm doing. But if anybody is out there that loves to do this stuff and can keep up with it, it would be so great for the rest of us. I mean, it talks about what current legislation is going on, what's going on with Freedom Caucus. There's just so much good information. So if anybody feels a need or loves to do this, please come see me, because I would love to have this for all of you.
Share that with us?
Yeah. I'm gonna set back there so you guys can see. Get involved in your precinct, county, and state. They're preaching this now. I'm gonna tell you, when I got pushed out here locally, I would go to different, county meetings. I'd find out if there was a conservative meeting like Rock the Red I went to. I just started going to all these patriot things because it's so good to connect with other people in the state, because sometimes we feel like we're just on an island here. We don't realize that all these other counties are going through what we're going through. And the more we get connected with the bigger picture, the better off we're gonna do as a state. So I encourage you guys to do that. Run for office, he mentioned it tonight. You can run for something on the CCRP, you've got school board, county council. To be honest, I did not want to run for chair, and I kept having people ask me, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, no. You've got to get out of your comfort zone, okay? You have to. We need you. I'm looking at this room of incredible people. I know pretty much all of you pretty well. Some of you newly, but I'm telling you, I'm so proud of all of you guys, and I would support any of you in this room running for something. You're amazing. And your community needs you. So be praying about that, be thinking about it, but you're gonna have to step up, you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone, and we need to run for these positions. Lastly, help candidates with advertising, phone calls, door knocking. I would never have done or been able to do what I did without the help of so many people. I just get choked up thinking about it, because so many people supported me, made phone calls, knocked on doors. Tim helped with advertising for me. I mean, I just was like overwhelmed. I'm a single mom, I work full time, and people just got behind me. And that's what you're gonna need to do. So if you know somebody that's running for something, help them, support them. And it shouldn't be about money. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, it was a shoestring budget. There's a gentleman, he's not here tonight, but he said, where do we donate for you? And I was like, have a donate thing, I didn't think chair, it's not Congress or Senate, I didn't know I had to do anything. And so anyways, he gave me $100. I was so thankful. And I'd already spent $100 on cards, so I was able to buy more. And then I had somebody else give $40 and somebody else give $60. So on a $200 budget, and I found out that my opponent had $30,000+. So I'm telling you, it can be done. And so don't feel like because you don't have the money or you don't, people will get behind you, and people just want good people. People want good people and people that have morals and people that are conservative.
And you won, by the way.
That's right.
Some of you came early for the state delegate meeting. So thankful you're here tonight. Mingle, get to talk to Jeff and Tim. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to come and
Go ahead.